What's good, YouTube? Dorsey Made Gaming here, and yeah, I got the shades on today because why not? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, y'all, what I wanted to talk to y'all about today is about NCAA. Now, I know, right now there's no NCAA game that's been announced, but this morning I woke up and for some reason I wanted to look up some stuff. And so I started reading about the whole licensing and litigation stuff that went on with EA. Come to find out, there's some pretty interesting information as well as hints that could point towards the return of NCAA. Now, the majority of the articles that I looked at were from Kotaku, which is a very well-known reporter, blogger type site, news reporter type, if whatever the name for that is. But one thing people have to realize is this, that with Kotaku, like I said, they're well known. So the thing about it is, reading, there's various different articles that they talked about. And I went through and literally read them all. So I'll save y'all the disparity of doing that, though I will post the links to those. I'll post the link to those sites in the description box of this video. So down below in the video, look at the description. Those links will be there. Please go read them for yourself and let me know what you think. But here's my synopsis of basically what everything was being said. I'll answer a few questions. So first question, I guess the most important question is, could NCAA football come back? No. NCAA football as we know it isn't going to come back. However, a college football game could. What do you mean, DM Gaming? Is it NCAA and college the same thing? Yes. Here's the thing. Everybody talks about EA losing the licensing for the NCAA, but how many people have actually read what happened with that? See, let's set this straight. There's several different entities involved with making a college football game. Number one, the universities themselves. We'll come back to that. Number two, it's called the CLC, or the College Licensing Corporation, or something of that nature. Collegiate Licensing something. They're now known as IMG, which IMG has been in the game for a long time. They basically just took over the CLC. So it's essentially the same entity, just IMG's running it. And then, well, what the CLC is, and I'll refer to them as CLC or IMG. It's the same, they basically took over a new brand. So like, say for instance, let me show you here. Let me see. Yeah, here. All right. So you see this college game right here. You see that? Do you see that logo right there? That's the CLC's logo. If they come out with another college football game that is licensed by the CLC, you're not going to see that logo. You'll see a different logo. The IMG, they changed the logo. So, but anyway, that's the CLC licensing. That's not the NCAA licensing. You get what I'm saying? It's officially licensed, yes, but the CLC deals with over 150 schools, no, it's over 200. They deal with a lot of schools. They're basically a third party between the universities and the NCAA. So that's the second entity that's involved. And the third entity, surprisingly, or you guessed it, is the NCAA themselves. So when EA lost the licensing to the NCAA, guess what, y'all? That is not going to stop them from making a college football game. Here's what I've read. That the NCAA partnership with EA, first of all, the only thing that it allowed EA to do is use the NCAA logo and name. Yes, that is it. And they paid them royalties upwards to around $500,000. Okay, so, and then the only reason, okay, so let's back up. If you remember College Football 96, that's why it was called College Football 96. It didn't become NCAA football till 1998. The reason why is because EA didn't have the license to carry the NCAA name. And the only reason they acquired it was to support their basketball game, March Madness, NCAA March Madness, which they did that to so that they could use, because the NCAA owns the name March Final Four and March Madness and stuff. So it was a business standpoint for EA to do that. That was the only way that they could get it for the basketball, was to have it for football too. So, but as far as everything else in college football, they don't need an NCAA license for it. They need a CLC license, or the IMG, same thing, same entity. That's the licensing that college football, that EA Sports needs to make an authentic college football, because inside the CLC, you have all the universities represented, as well as the Heisman Trophy, the national championship, the bowl games. Yeah, you guessed it. So the CLC is really the engine that keeps the car rolling. The NCAA is more or less a decal. Literally, you get what I'm saying? Because EA Sports paid a royalty to NCAA just to put NCAA on the title, or just to have that NCAA logo. You get what I'm saying? That's the only thing. So with that being said, when people say, "Oh, EA lost the rights to the NCAA," yes, they did, but that was just literally a decal in the game. You see what I'm saying? The real meat and potatoes comes with the CLC. Now, with that being said, are they still partnered with the CLC? I'm not sure, because whenever you go to their website and you look up who their licensees are under video games, EA is not listed. However, after the NCAA dropped EA from the licensing, the CLC actually signed a 3-year extension to EA. And guess how long that extends? June of 2017. You guessed it. And guess what? If a game is in development and the game is done, they really only need the licensing up until the time that that game is finished, because they've pretty much made the game during that licensing. You get what I'm saying? Like, okay, if I have a licensing, correct me if I'm wrong, somebody, but if I have a license, if I give EA the rights to use my licensing, that means anything that they do within that contract period is good, even after that license expires, because that project was worked on during that time frame. They still get to produce it. So what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that if they did a college football game and it's already completed, and that licensing, that contract goes out next month, I would like to think that as long as that game is completed, that they can put the game out still, because it was done during the time that they were under contract. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, the thing about it is this, though, and if you read the articles, you'll see as well, EA was actually going to release a football game for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Yes, they were. They said it. It's in the articles. Please go read it. I don't have time to show y'all all of the articles. Go read it. Trust me. And what's interesting to note about that is that, why didn't they do it? Well, I told y'all in many videos that EA said that the reason that they could have been coming out with college football games, but the reason they didn't was because the profit would have been less on the games than what they were actually paying out with the lawsuit. Now, mind you, the lawsuit, NCAA went through 2 lawsuits, or EA Sports did, I'm sorry. One of them was about 24 to 27 million. The other 40 million, guess where it came from? The NCAA. Everybody thinking that the players sued EA. No, it was the NCAA who sued EA Sports. Wow, yes. The NCAA was the one that sued EA Sports for $40 million. And that's where the checks that went out to the players came from, that lawsuit, which is really messed up, because the NCAA, man, EA Sports was basically paying them $500,000 a year just to carry the name NCAA, which is straight profit for the NCAA. But you know what the NCAA did? They tried to cover their tracks and tried to say that EA Sports, they didn't have any idea that EA Sports was using player likenesses and stuff. That turned out to be false. So the NCAA was basically trying to cover their tracks by suing EA, trying to make it seem like they didn't know anything about this. And the whole fallout between the NCAA and EA Sports was that EA Sports didn't mind paying the players. The NCAA didn't want that. See, because the NCAA wants to profit off of anything that has to do with their players. And they can't profit off of that if EA is paying the players directly. Did you get my drift? And so, like I said at the beginning of the video, it doesn't matter. EA doesn't need EA doesn't need an NCAA to make a football game, an authentic college football game. The only entity that they need are the universities and the CLC. That's what they need. And like I said, the CLC basically it's the whole collegiate licensing, and that those schools are represented through that. Now, if the CLC decided, hey, you know, we don't want to have anything to do with y'all, that's still fine, because guess what? EA, it's still up to the universities themselves. They can strike deals with EA Sports as well. Now, this is where the difficulty comes in trying to make a college football game, because after putting out college football games, okay, let's start back with 96. I believe it was college football 96. All the teams weren't represented. Later on, they were. Now, with the last game that they came out, and many products before having all of the schools represented, then you get into the case of if they release a game without all the schools represented, people are going to be skeptical. People are going to be like, nah, it's going to feel incomplete. So I really truly believe that EA, like they said, could have put out a college football game, but the reason that they didn't was because they want to truly give us a full experience. Now, also, another reason why they probably didn't and probably haven't as of yet is because there were 3 conferences that actually pulled licensing from EA Sports. That was the Big Ten, the Pac-12, and the gigantic SEC. So could you picture playing a college football game without those conferences in there? Now, don't get me wrong. EA could still partner with the schools themselves and use their likenesses. However, with those conferences pulling the licensing or saying we're not doing business with y'all at this point in time, that means that you may have Alabama and Georgia and LSU. You may have those teams in the game, but they're not going to be called the Southeastern Conference. You're not going to see the SEC logo, nor will you see an SEC championship game. And same way with the Big Ten and the Pac-12. You could see those teams, but EA Sports would have to give them a generic conference name and a generic conference bowl game or conference championship, which would really dull down the experience if you ask me. But at the same time, I don't think I'm that nitpicky that I would care. However, with that being the case, all in all, I guess to sum everything up is, you know, I was talking about EA having a major surprise for E3. Now, y'all, sources have confirmed that there is a new Dragon Age game that is coming out. And if you don't know about Dragon Age, EA makes Dragon Age, okay? So, with that being said, they could very well announce a Dragon Age game. You get what I'm saying? And because it hasn't been officially announced, that could be an E3 surprise. Hey, we're coming out with a new Dragon Age, which that would take a blow to me. Now, what EA could also do is make a remastered version of NCAA or make it backwards compatible for the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. I'm still kind of holding on to the back of my mind that EA could come out and announce a NCAA football game or a college football game. It's not going to be called NCAA because they still don't have the licensing. However, they can still achieve licensing, and they are actually still under contract with the CLC, even though they're not listed on their website, which is strange to me because I didn't see anywhere where the CLC pulled that licensing away from EA Sports. Be that as it may, EA is still under contract with them throughout next month. So with that being said, could we see a I'm tripping. I'm just so used to saying NCAA. Could we see a college football game? I think we could, but I don't know, man. Only time will tell. But if y'all got any questions or comments on this, mark it down there in the comment section. I'll be happy to answer those. Like I said, I'm going to put the websites links in the description so you can go and read the articles yourself from Kotaku. And that's all I got for right now, y'all. I'm going to be live streaming later on. So like the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Go enter into that 500 giveaway contest. Till next time, y'all. And